So in this video, we are going to be reading some more of Aesop's Fables on read.gov. All of these fables will be related to travelers. A traveler is a person that goes different places. Anyone can be a traveler. You just have to travel. So the first story we will read is called The Travelers and the Purse. Feel free to read along with me or just listen. Two men were traveling in company along the road when one of them picked up a well-filled purse. "How lucky I am," he said. "I have found a purse. Judging by its weight, it must be full of gold." "Don't say, 'I have found a purse,'" said his companion. "Say rather, 'We have found a purse, and how lucky we are.' Travelers ought to share alike the fortunes or misfortunes of the road." "No, no," replied the other angrily. "I found it, and I am going to keep it." Just then they heard a shout of "Stop, thief!" and looked around, saw a mob of people armed with clubs coming down the road. The man who had found the purse fell into a panic. "We are lost if they find the purse on us," he cried. "No, no," replied the other. "You would not say 'we' before. Now stick to your eye. Say, 'I am lost.'" We cannot expect anyone to share our misfortunes unless we are willing to share our good fortune also. So that is what the story teaches us. We cannot expect anyone to share our misfortunes unless we are willing to share our good fortunes also. Now, what does that mean? It means that you can't benefit from the success of others if you don't also share with the misfortune of others. So think about a marriage. Part of wedding vows, what you say to the other person when you get married, typically in the United States, is for better, for worse, in sickness, in health, for richer or poorer. You can't act like you are a unit with someone else, like you are together, only when things are going well. You have to be together all the time, when things are good and when things are bad. So the one traveler that found the purse, he says, "Oh, this is mine, my purse full of money." And his friend says, "Oh, we're not going to share it." But then when trouble comes along, the guy with the money, with the purse full of gold, says, "Oh no, what are we going to do?" And his friend says, "There is no we. If you're not willing to share your gold with me, then why should I suffer with you?" essentially. And that's a fair point. You should always be willing to be with someone or share things with other people, regardless of if it's good or bad. You can't only take the positive out of a situation and ignore the negative. That was fun. So we have the man with the purse, his friend, and then, oh no, they're coming for them. So in the comments below, let me know, have you ever been in a situation like this, where someone wanted to share your good fortune, but that same person was not willing to share your misfortunes when things were bad? Let me know in the comments below. All right, on to the next story about travelers. Okay, so the next story we are reading is called Two Travelers and a Bear. So we see in this picture, probably traveler one, traveler number two, and then this is a bear. Cute bear. I think it's a cute bear. Okay, so let's get started. Two men were traveling in company through a forest when, all at once, a huge bear crashed out of the brush near them. One of the men, thinking of his own safety, climbed a tree. The other, unable to fight the savage beast alone, threw himself on the ground and lay still, as if he were dead. He had heard that a bear will not touch a dead body. It must have been true, for the bear snuffed at the man's head a while, and then, seeming to be satisfied that he was dead, walked away. The man in the tree climbed down. "It looked just as if that bear whispered in your ear," he said. "What did he tell you?" "He said," answered the other, that it was not at all wise to keep in company with a fellow who would desert his friend in a moment of danger. Misfortune is the test of true friendship. So that's what we learn from this story. Misfortune is the test of true friendship. So at the end, when he says that it was not at all wise to keep company with a fellow who would desert his friend in a moment of danger, he's saying to his friend, the bear told me you are a bad friend. We were in danger and you left me. You just ran away. And so the moral is misfortune is the test of true friendship. That means to me that you never know how strong a friendship with someone is until something bad happens. It's really easy to be a good friend to someone when life is easy, when things are easy. But as soon as there's danger or a struggle or some sort of challenge, that's when you start seeing people's true colors. So when people are under stress or there's something scary going on, that shows you how strong the friendship is. Now, would a really good friend have abandoned him? It's hard to say. It's hard to want to fight a bear, but the lesson is more universal. It's beyond just a bear. So, for example, what if instead of it being a bear, someone is just sad or they're having a hard time? Maybe a family member died or they aren't doing well in school. A true friend would stick with you through all that. They won't abandon you because you're sad. They won't leave you because things aren't going well. So that's the moral. Misfortune is the test of true friendship. And in the comments below, let me know. Have you ever had a friend leave you when life got hard? Or vice versa, have you ever left a friend when life got hard? I'm pretty sure I've done both. I'm not gonna lie. Or I've left other people, but I've also had other people leave me. And I mean, that just goes to show maybe that friendship wasn't strong enough. I don't know. Let me know your opinions down below. Okay, so this final story is not about travelers. I was only able to find 2 stories about travelers. The third story we have already read before. I believe it was The Travelers and the Sea. So I thought for the final story we could read something that's kind of relevant. The Animals and the Plague. A plague is an illness. It's a sickness that spreads throughout a population. So that could be related to today with the coronavirus. Perhaps. Maybe I'm making too many connections, but you can decide that. Okay, so let's get started. The Animals and the Plague. Once upon a time, a severe plague raged among the animals. Many died, and those who lived were so ill that they cared for neither food nor drink and dragged themselves about listlessly. No longer could a fat young hen tempt Master Fox to dinner, nor a tender lamb rouse greedy Sir Wolf's appetite. At last the lion decided to call a council. When all the animals were gathered together, he arose and said, "Dear friends, I believe the gods have sent this plague upon us as a punishment for our sins. Therefore, the most guilty one of us must be offered in sacrifice. Perhaps we may thus obtain forgiveness and cure for all. I will confess all of my sins first. I admit that I have been very greedy and have devoured many sheep. They had done me no harm. I have eaten goats and bulls and stags. To tell the truth, I even ate up a shepherd now and then. Now, if I am the most guilty, I am ready to be sacrificed. But I think it is best that each one confesses his sins as I have done. Then we can decide in all justice who is the most guilty." "Your Majesty," said the fox, "you are too good. Can it be a crime to eat sheep? Such stupid mutton-heads? No, no, your Majesty. You have done them a great honor by eating them up. And so far as shepherds are concerned, we all know they belong to that puny race that pretends to be our masters." All the animals applauded the fox loudly. Then, though the tiger, the bear, the wolf, and all the savage beasts recited the most wicked deeds, all were excused and made to appear very saint-like and innocent. It was now the ass's turn to confess. "I remember," he said guiltily, "that one day I was passing a field belonging to some priests. I was so tempted by the tender grass and my hunger that I could not resist nibbling a little bit of it. I had no right to do it, I admit." A great uproar among the beasts interrupted him. Here was the culprit who had brought misfortune on all of them. What a horrible crime it was to eat grass that belonged to someone else. It was enough to hang anyone for, much more an ass. Immediately they fell upon him, the wolf in lead, and soon had made an end to him, sacrificing him to the gods then and there, and without the formality of an altar. The weak are made to suffer for the misdeeds of the powerful. So, the moral of this story is, the weak are made to suffer for the misdeeds of the powerful. Okay, just a little bit of vocabulary. Ass is an old way of saying donkey. People today typically say donkey. So, this is the donkey confessing his sins. So, essentially what happened in this story is all of the animals are sick, and they decide that God has cursed them for being evil, and that if they kill the most guilty person, the person who did the most evil deeds, then perhaps God will forgive them. So it starts out with all the carnivores, all the meat eaters, like a lion, a wolf, a fox, confessing their sins. Their sins are having killed other living beings, other animals, and even people, because it says shepherds. So they confess to killing, to taking the lives of others, but they convince themselves that that's fine. There's no problem with that. How do they do that? Well, they're in a position of power. If other animals, like the turtle or the donkey or a bird, were to argue with them, they could be eaten. So they confess their own sins and they forgive their own sins because they are in charge. So then this poor donkey explains his sin of eating a plant that belonged to someone else. And all of those meat-eating animals say, "Ah, you are the guilty one. It must be your fault." And because they're in a position of power, they're able to declare the donkey guilty. So that's where it goes back into the weak are made to suffer for the misdeeds of the powerful. I think this is true in most aspects of life. Not to get too political, but something I always think of is global warming. What causes global warming? You as an individual driving your car or leaving a light on, that is not good, but that is nothing in comparison to giant corporations with their big factories and making products and all that stuff. So it's all of these big corporations that are causing global warming, but then who suffers global warming? It's all of the people, particularly people in more developing countries. So because of consumerism and factories and big corporations, a lot of people suffer, and it tends to be people that have less money, less access to resources. So they're suffering because of a structure that they don't benefit from. Don't quote me on this because I might be wrong, but I believe the Pope even said that global warming is caused by the most rich and powerful people in the world, but yet it's the poor and the destitute that are made to suffer because of it. And that's why global warming is also a humanitarian crisis, because it does really negatively influence people, and they're suffering because of the actions of the powerful. So, can you think of another instance like this where the weak are made to suffer for the misdeeds of the powerful? I know it's a little bit sad and it's not entirely related to the theme of traveling, but I thought this story might be a good one to read now. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening and thank you for watching. Have a nice day.